friends, and welcome to the CUInsight Network. I'm Robbie Young, the Vice President of Strategic Growth here at CUInsight, and it's my job on this show to have conversations with leaders who support the credit union community, to identify issues affecting credit unions and have discussions on best practices so that we can all gain a few nuggets that we can learn from and improve our credit unions. My guest on the show today is Robin Kolvek, CEO and President of VisiFI. Robin, thank you so much for being here.
It's great to be here, Robbie. Thank you for having us.
Of course. So to jump right into it, most of us didn't grow up thinking we would get to work with credit unions. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, that's a really great question. Not many kids, really dream of working with a credit union. I mean, obviously credit unions are so critical in helping their members and their communities. I was like that kind of kid that wanted to do everything, whether I was a teacher, coach one day, a professional athlete, to even a detective and a doctor or something in the health field. So I think for me, I've always been more drawn to around helping people, coaching, learning, solving, sports, and things of that nature. How about you?
A lot of those things, probably besides the athlete part. I was an equestrian, so not the same kind of athleticism, but certainly the helping people was in my wheelhouse as well.
Oh, great.
So can you tell me a little bit about the journey to your current role as president and CEO of VisiFI?
Yeah, I really never had the intentions of being a CEO. That wasn't even on my childhood wish dream. But, I've been working in the financial services industry for a long time. I began my career really at the largest insurance distributor, in the credit union industry. Started in New Jersey. I grew up in the Northeast. I moved to Atlanta for some different positions. Worked at the corporate office in Madison and then, held several leadership roles throughout my career. I started in risk management and audit to sales, to business development, operations, call center, and then even did, a lot of B2B to C work in the direct to consumer area. But for me, balancing, my values for at home and travel, it really was not working out to be traveling as much as I did. So things happen for a reason. And, one day I was sitting in a meeting in Dallas and I was listening to a story because I had the decision of saying, okay, am I going to continue down the sales path or am I going to look for other opportunities? And sometimes leaders, you follow people that believe in you. This leader was telling their story about how somebody talked with them as far as their believed in their ability and their potential. And they really took a chance on them. So that at the end of 2013, I had an opportunity to work for this leader. And so when I was sitting in that session, I had the opportunity to stay or to take a chance to be closer to home, be more closer to working at the customer level. And it really fit well for me. And that's where I am today at VisiFI. It's really been an exciting journey. I came here as far as in different roles, as far as business development, customers, conversions, all those things. And then it's just a crazy time, but here I am.
Nothing more exciting to be born out of crazy, that's for sure.
Exactly. I mean, with the consolidation, the merger, everything's going so fast. Technology, innovation, everything's really evolving.
It's a fun time, though, that's for sure.
Yes, it is. However you define fun, right?
You're right, exactly. So do you tell me a little bit more about VisiFI and where and how they add value for credit unions?
Yeah, VisiFI, we're a CUSO. We've been delivering technology solutions to credit unions, again, to help them compete, accelerate their growth, and really create, personalized services. We lead with digital. We believe that, digital transformation is really one of those great equalizers, bringing financial wellness and access to everyone. We look for best of breed solutions, right? So we want to help our credit unions compete, grow and support their transformation. So, we have tools that are, whether from our core banking to lending to our digital platform. And most of our tools are used, the technology to help them to be more efficient. We want to reduce friction for the employees, the members. Self-service is obviously key and making sure that they can work more effectively. And so, from core to digital, we have account opening to lending, funding, real-time payments, pretty much everything in between. So we have an access to a pretty big ecosystem and want to look for the best of breed, solution. And whether we invest and develop it or whether we partner, buy, or build. I mean, those are kind of the things that we look at, as an organization to help our credit unions. But one thing that I feel that's a little bit different was that credit unions, their voice matters, and we have a lot of engagement with our customers, holding roundtables. We have innovation labs. We ask our customers for their input. We vet third parties together. We want to have the best of breed, but we want to get their input. And they have a voice at the table. And we just came from a roundtable meeting a couple of weeks ago. And we had some of our customers there and we had some new of our partners there. And we went through our roadmaps for our core, roadmaps for our digital, the roadmaps for our lending solutions, what was happening in the environment, what's impacting them, what's keeping them up at night. Being a CEO today, I don't think running a credit or leading a credit union is very challenging in today's environment, as we talked about. So I think their voice matters, and we want to understand what their pain points are and how can we really help be able to provide more services, financial services to their members and their communities that they serve.
So to expand on that a little bit, we know growth is always top of mind for credit unions. VisiFI serves small to mid-sized institutions. In what way do you work with them to help them compete and accelerate their growth?
Yeah, I think from our standpoint, I talk about, their voice matters. And I think about digital transformation and in technology. If you really leverage the technology, it's going to help them compete. And they need to have a niche or a focus. And so as an organization, we kind of look at growth from three perspectives, right? We think about strategy. We have a parent company that I'll share a little bit more here in a bit that gives us access to, resources and their capabilities, and they're growing here in the US. And I think that we have the opportunity to leverage the strategic partners to bring those to the smaller market and mid-sized market. And then we want to help them grow, right? Whether that's growing loans, whether that's growing deposits, increasing their members. And so we have a motto we talk about as an organization, hook me up, make you better, and bring me joy. And so we want to help these credit unions really leverage digital tools so that they can provide and compete in the market, just like the larger market, the larger credit unions and banks are in their area. So I think that we have more of an end-to-end solution. So they have a very competitive platform that will help make them better and bring joy to them. So again, our focus is around how do we help them have more self-service capabilities, use AI, data, analytics, and members today or consumers today really want to know what their personal, they don't want us to just have credit unions just offer solutions. They want to have things personalized and what really matters to them and tell them what they need to do. So again, I think our solutions are focused around having better experience, both for the employee and also for the credit union and members.
And certainly we know that experience matters so much and what really makes credit unions stand out. So as you mentioned, VisiFI's parent company, Data, is a lending technology company in Italy. How does that translate into the U.S. credit union market synergies that benefit your customers and partners?
Well, being a leading technology company here in Italy, they made a strategic direction about 5 years ago down a path of really coming here, expanding their capabilities. And one of the primary focuses is in the U.S. And so they are an organization today that's building out our U.S. Solutions Center. We have our organization. We have one of our sister companies, Share One. We also have a data AI group here in the U.S. And they have over 5,000 employees, 4,000 customers over the world, and really projected to have pretty significant growth in 2025. And we're in a really unique position with them because we're small and nimble, CUSO, and I always say we think and we want to act differently, but we're really backed by a much larger global ecosystem. And so our data really, their focus and their cooperative values are very similar to the credit union market. And so, they're the financial engine behind us that gives us access to the resources of their organization. That's their IT expertise, capabilities such as AI, business intelligence, cloud, IT security, cybersecurity, and digital transformation. So for us, we believe that, we can leverage those capabilities. For example, they have a group, we'll leverage our developing team, for their data, the digital area. They'll be our front end experience, our UI UX, for our digital and core platform. So, those are some of the things. That's one access, the cyber security, and which obviously is first and foremost, what's happening in today's environment and continuing to evolve, really helping us to find ways to protect our credit union assets and their members and ourselves. So that's one of the things I think that's really great about the organization and having those resources and helping to support us here.
So I'm sure this is no surprise to you, but speed to market is essential to thriving. What role does VisiFI's technology and specifically digital innovation that you all do and data provide play in helping credit unions optimize their operations and improve member engagement?
Yeah. So again, I think, from our standpoint, from a digital perspective, and we're customer centric focused. It's really at the heart of our innovation strategy. We want to, focus on the overall user, the user experience. We work on vetting strategic integrators and partners and looking at ways to elaborate, overall workflow and our product design. But I think that for us of what we're offering, and I think, I shared with you about hook me up, make you better and bring me joy. Again, we say the consumers, they want us not to just offer solutions, but tell them what to do. And they want more self-service capabilities. And so from a digital transformation perspective, we've been on a fast track as far as investing in our digital banking platform, digital account opening and lending, and then our end-to-end, our core and lending platform. So we believe that we have a good investment in our technology, and we're looking for the best of breed solutions out there. And again, the strength that we have is, do we partner, do we build, do we invest, or do we buy? And so when we look at decisions as far as any of our capabilities, what do we want to leverage that we're really good at? And I think that this really helps us differentiate ourselves in the market because, we don't have to build everything, right? We just have to have the right, mission-minded partners that become part of our ecosystem. And so for us, just recently, I mentioned to you earlier that we had a roundtable and we had a couple of our new partners. And one, we just released a solution helping more self-service capabilities like automatic skip pay and loan payments, and integrating into our core. And so it reduces friction and provides a better experience for their members, a better experience for their employees. And speed of market is incredibly important. I think that we had over 20, I guess, I'm going to say about 300 installations since 2024. We just launched our digital card issuance on one of our partners, which is one of the large card processors. So we have our card system embedded into our platform. So this really we believe this is kind of first in our segment. This really creates a better experience. So you don't have to leave the application and go to a new application. It's embedded into the work stream. And we also just introduced customized, nudges like push notifications. So you could kind of customize the offers specific to them on the digital platform. And then we use behavior-based science methodology. So we have a better experience for both the member and employee. From a core perspective, one of the things is that we know we needed to improve the internal operation experience. And, we did a big undertaking or project to update our whole UX, UI, improve the overall employee experience and all of our applications over 2024. We said we'd have it done by June and we completed it. And so now we have the ability to continue to build off of that. And we're continuing to invest, and we have our roadmaps out for the rest of 2025 and already beginning in 2026 of what we're doing to develop and continue to invest in our platform.
So as you look to the future, what's VisiFI's focus on the road ahead?
Good question. I think that we talk about VisiFI and, I say data. We do have a real shared belief in cooperative values and our community and our digital first solution. And 2024 was really exciting for us. We made a significant amount of changes into our platform. And so we were going to continue to study, invest in the market, focusing on that next generation of technology. So we want to expand our services and solution to continue to evolve AI, cyber, digital security. Obviously, fraud, protect the member and their assets is key, enhancing, more of our regulatory tools and continue down the path of more automation and how we can help reduce friction, improve the employee experience, and build out new capabilities of where the credit unions are focusing on as far as expanding in business banking, payments, card offerings. And I think those are some of the areas. And how do we work and bring more fintech partners to help support areas to help improve more of the financial wellness and things that maybe they need more access to and also to compete. So we have a good momentum going on so far. As I'm speaking with you, we look at things that, really, really proud overall of kind of some of the things we already built and are building this year. And so we're looking forward to sharing more of that the rest of 2025.
That's very exciting. So as we wrap up the show, we'd like to have some fun with some rapid fire questions for our listeners to really get to know you better. The questions are rapid, but your answers certainly don't have to be. Do you think you're ready?
Go for it.
So who's someone in your life that was a great leader and what makes them great?
Well, really, as a leader, for me, I was really truly blessed overall. I had many great leaders who really taught me a lot of things and believing in yourself and learning and growing and teaching others. And to me, my core was around making a difference in the lives of others. And since I was young, sometimes leaders, you have defining moments in your life. And so that really kind of change kind of who you are, or change your direction. And one of my defining moments was I lost my mom at a young age. The time that I had spent with her was a gift, and people who would share with us as kids with the impact that she would have. And there's a quote that someone shared with me at this time, and it's from Bernard Shaw, and it says, "Life is not a brief candle. It's a splendid torch that I'd like to burn as brightly as possible before handing it down to future generations." And so throughout my life, these are attributes really as a person or as a leader, as an individual. I felt like she handed me the torch, sooner than probably I was ready for, but doing so, it kind of gives a real sense of deep purpose for myself. And that experience really, for me, is key about making a difference in people's lives. And when we look at companies today and the challenges that we have, sometimes companies lose that human touch, get caught up in the pace of business and metrics and our to-do lists, and everybody's overwhelmed. But really taking the time to connect with people, I think is key. And being empathetic, and understanding. I think if you have that environment, people really do care. They want to know that you care about them. They're going to have a better mindset at work. They're going to enrich your culture and help transfer that service best to your customers. So again, from my standpoint, many leaders throughout my life, the one really stands out for me is my mom. And a lot of times you learn from the leaders you want to follow, things leaders do that are good and things that you don't attribute to them that you do not want to have. But this is really truly core to who I am.
That's amazing. A lot of good takeaways there. So if you're going to splurge on something and you really want to treat yourself, what's one thing that you might invest in a bit?
Oh, of course, no question about it, travel. Where I could be really active. I never really leave. I was telling somebody the other day, I really don't leave a trip without knowing where the next one's going to be. And I think I just, came back from vacation, a long weekend, at the beach. And I already know that, and some of these are small, but I always want to have at least one large trip going somewhere. And one of my customers one time said to me, "Robin, we're not getting any younger. And so you need to look at places that on your bucket list that are maybe far away, like Australia or China, or it's some of those places that you rather do now than wait till you retire." So I think one of the things is for me is that I like to travel. And so we have our next trip planned here in the next couple of weeks. I know we're going for July. We even have a family reunion already planned for a place in July of 2026. So to me, investing in traveling is exciting.
Okay, so to piggyback on that answer a bit, if you're going to travel, what's one city that you're most excited to visit?
I'd say New York City. It's home for me. I grew up about 30 minutes or so outside the city. And every time I go there, it just energizes me. I know it's big and crazy, but when I was in school or growing up, walking in the city, thinking about my career, and first job was with an investment firm there, in hustle and bustle and fast pace, good food, and people are just an overall fun, exciting environment. You always said, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. But that's probably for me is New York City. It feels like home.
That's awesome. So what's one book that you think everyone should read?
Probably do more podcasts now because I travel, I work out. So it's, for me to sit down and read a book, I'm more leaning towards more podcasts here from a leadership and industry perspective. But one of the books that I believe that's critical is Now Discover Your Strengths by Marcus Buckingham and Donald Clifton. Because I think that sometimes as people, you always focus on, how can you leverage the strengths and the talents of the folks around you? And what are your core attributes? And how do you really, really bring those to light around your team and into your organization?
So with that, it takes me to your best life hack for creating balance and integration between your work life and your life.
That's really hard to do again today, but that's always hard to do. But, this will sound a little bit selfish, but for me, I always say pay yourself first. Okay. So for me, that's exercise, taking care of my health. If I don't exercise or do that first thing in the morning, I'm not going to do it. And so for me, I'm better for my teams. I have more energy. I'm better for my customers and overall better for my health and my life overall. So to me, having that balance, if I can do that, I can have more energy and really be able to have a better balance overall, from work and balance work and home. So I think that's probably one thing too. And I don't know if you've heard the book of Living Good by Dr. Living Good. It's a guide to health. I don't know if you read that or not, but it's one that my family just picked up, and it's what do you want to do as far as, focusing on eating better and your movements. One of the things that you want to do as far as improving your health. We only have one body, it's kind of like working like a car, right? And so how do you take care of that engine every day so that you can have a more stronger quality of life? And so to me, it kind of extending on, taking care of yourself from an exercise perspective, but, just health and overall well-being.
That's interesting. And you're right. I think it is certainly, those lines are certainly getting blurred a little bit more these days, but I like the emphasis on paying yourself first. So we'll be sure to link to everything we talked about today in the show notes. My last question for you is, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share or asks of our listeners?
No, I think that I really want to just say, take the opportunity to really thank you for the talk today. You guys really are doing a great job at making a difference in the space. And it's a great opportunity to share a little bit about VisiFI. And from a standpoint, we've been in business for 40 years, but we've had deep relationships and collaborations in the credit union movement. And so I think it's, for me, having the opportunity just to share a little bit about VisiFI, together a little bit about what our parent company Data is doing here in the U.S. and supporting this cooperative movement is having more impact through our technology solutions. And so I think that from our perspective, I think if we'd love people to have the opportunity to want to come here and learn a little bit more about what we're doing. And we just really appreciate the opportunity and the time to be here today.
Well, thank you so much, Robin. It's been great having you on the show. Stay well, and thanks to all of our listeners for tuning in to the CUInsight Network. We'll be back again next time.
Great. Thank you, Robbie.
Thank you.